What's going on, everybody? I'm Scott Moss, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about why you should be getting a job in tech and how it actually might change your life. So if you haven't already watched my video, how I got into tech, feel free, click here, go check it out. It's a pretty crazy story. You might learn something. I had a unique path on how I got here. And now that I'm here looking back, reflecting almost 10 years in, I want to be able to share some of the benefits and why you should get a job in tech and maybe how you should do it. Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. A lot of people are losing their jobs. They're not being able to put food on the table, pay their bills. And some of the jobs that require you to be there, labor intensive jobs, things like that, are just shutting down. Like none of that stuff is going on. So you really need to future-proof your career with something that's going to be here forever. If you look at a lot of these tech companies during the pandemic, a lot of them have had their stocks go up. A lot of them are doing well. There are still companies being created that are raising money from investors because technology is probably being consumed more than it was before now that everyone's locked down at home on the internet all the time. I think that there's a misconception that in order to get a job in tech, you have to be someone who can write code and you have to be super smart and you have to go to a school like Stanford or MIT. That's not the case. You don't need to, but there's so many different roles when it comes to getting a job in tech. So I want to talk about those roles, specifically 3 of them. One of them is the cliche software engineer. You write code, you do all this magic stuff, right? Yes, that is definitely a path. That's what I did. And here's how you could do it too. So this path is for people who I would say are really interested in computers. Maybe you've used computers, you've worked on Excel and spreadsheets, and maybe you play a lot of video games and you are, somewhat technical, you kind of understand technology, right? These are for those people who don't mind sitting at a computer screen for multiple hours a day. So as far as learning, you got a lot of different paths now. You can do the self-taught approach where you scramble some resources together, whether it's YouTube videos or videos from, platforms online to books that you read, and you eventually figure it out. You have more structured resources like going to a coding bootcamp, which is usually like some 6-week to 9-month program. And then the third path is basically going to college, right? Like getting a degree in computer science for 4 or 5 years and doing the traditional path, which should set you up. So it really just depends on your situation. As far as pay and salary when becoming a software engineer, it's pretty good. Most companies, especially in tech hubs like the Bay Area and New York and LA, are gonna start you off over 100K for sure for just the entry-level job. And it goes up from there. It's not surprising to see a software engineer with no college degree, no traditional schooling to be earning well over 300K, 400K at a company somewhere after, close to 6 or 7 years in. And there's a lot of demand for software engineers. There's over 1 million unfulfilled software engineering jobs, and it's just gonna get bigger as technology grows. So someone's gotta take those jobs. It could be you. Other perks about being a software engineer is that when you go work at a tech company, they actually treat you with respect. You get some really good perks like unlimited vacation, some of the best healthcare in the world, beer on tap at some companies. I've even seen companies have wine on tap. Not gonna lie, like snacks for days, food for days if that's what you're into, super lax schedule. They basically treat you like an adult. You get your work done when you say you're gonna get your work done and no one's really bothering you about it. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely companies that do not do that. But for the most part, you're going to be respected at the company you go work at because you're working on the most crucial thing about the company, the product, the thing that makes the money. The other role is a product manager. So a product manager is basically what I like to call the CEO of a product or a feature. So for instance, if I worked at Twitter and I was a product manager for the timeline, I would be in charge of all the features that go in and out of what a user sees on their timeline. When do we add this? How do we change this? When do we know to change it? So you're gonna be looking at tons of data, whether it's qualitative data from the interviews you've done with Twitter users to the quantitative data from the charts that you're looking at from the tracking that you may or may not be doing. And you're gonna be working with engineers and designers and marketing folks and the executives of the company to really figure out what to do next. How do we know what to make? What goal are we going towards to? You're gonna be the driving force behind some of the features behind these amazing products. For instance, the CEO of Google started off as a product manager there, and look what happened to him. The difference with product management and software engineering is the opportunities. There aren't as many open product management jobs as there are software engineering jobs because there really aren't as many product managers at a company compared to engineers. For one product manager, you might have 4 to 5 engineers on the team, if not more. And when they are, they're really competitive because a lot of people internally become product managers and get that job, whereas trying to hire someone externally can be a lot tougher. As far as salary goes, product managers make just as much, if not more, than engineers, depending on the company or the product. And there's tons of potential there as well. The last one I wanted to talk about is a designer. So if you think of yourself as a creative person that's already illustrating, already drawing, maybe you do tattoos, maybe you design t-shirts, right? You have some type of artistic capability, you should consider becoming a designer. What designers mostly do, their responsibility is usually all the visual aspects of an app, right? So if you open up TikTok, everything from the logo to the way the buttons look, the icons, the animations, the colors, the filters, the tools, everything on there, a designer put that together. And it can be a fulfilling job if you work at a company that has tons of impact, because you'll see millions of people use your designs, which is really impressive. Doesn't matter what path you go down, the thing that I mostly see is a really nice portfolio, right? Like you're redesigning on your favorite app, doing really crafty things, keeping up with what's happening. Usually portfolio is what's gonna get you a job as a designer. It's not a surprise to see a designer making, 70, 80K starting out to over 100K, depending on the company and the skills of that designer and their portfolio and their experience. So you could make a pretty decent amount of money too as a designer. So those are the 3 future-proof jobs that I see that a lot of people can take advantage of right now because the opportunities there are pretty high. If you're thinking right now that you're sick and tired of being let go by your job, you finally want to work at a company that everyone knows about and it's super dope, maybe you use the product, yeah, you probably want to get into tech. It was definitely one of the best decisions I ever made. I don't regret it. This is something that I did almost 10 years ago and my life has completely changed and it's still improving. I'm still working on things, but it's definitely afforded me opportunities that I never would have been exposed to. So I'm so glad I did it. If you found any of the content in this video helpful, please leave a like to help the YouTube algorithm spread this to everyone else who might need to hear it. And then subscribe because I'm definitely going to be creating more content about other people in the industry and how they got there and their perspectives, because everyone has a really unique story to tell. And just by telling it, they can be an example for someone else. Because I know when I was younger, I didn't have an example of success. I didn't know what that looked like. It would have motivated me to keep going, or maybe it would have motivated me to start. So that's what I want to do. So you really got to think about your life. Do you really want to live paycheck to paycheck, no savings, barely paying your bills? Or do you just want to sacrifice a little bit right now, learn something new that's going to change your life forever? Well, you can definitely do it. So until next time, I'll see you later.